Welcome to Presidential Experience Podcast, the place where we chronicle the search for meaning over money. I'm your host, Kanae Corder, National Certified Counselor and the world's #1 clinical hypnotherapist specializing in financial therapy and stress management. Welcome to episode 100. Okay, so I want you to imagine there's confetti and balloons and flowers. I'm all dressed up. I'm smiling. I'm waving. And you guys are clapping. It's a parade. It's an awesome day because it's episode 100. Aren't you super proud of us? We did it. We got all the way to episode 100. You and I. You've been here with me. You're here through the whole thing. And I'm so incredibly grateful. I feel so lucky to have you. Yes. Episode 100 of the Presidential Experience Podcast. What a feat. So we've been chronicling the search for meaning over money this year. And what I like to do is share with you what I've learned over this year. I don't want to do a podcast on like what our favorite episode is. I don't think I really want to talk about the past that much unless I'm telling you about like what I learned from the past. So I also want to talk about the future, like where we're going to go, because it doesn't have to be lonely at the top. You can take people with you, and that's where I'm going. So I'm taking you with me. Thank you for coming. So glad you're here. So my prosperity pros, my pros pros, let's talk about a new recipe for success today. Like not that old recipe for success, but in order for us to talk about the new recipe, we kind of do need to talk about the old recipe, kind of what it was and what it's not going to be going forward, why we're changing it. You know, like that new and improved version. Now, I know sometimes the new and improved version doesn't always work out. I'm sure there's something new and improved that you liked much better than the old version. I know for sure you're going to like this new version of success. That's why you're here. That's why we're together. This new version of success is going to serve us so much more than the old version of success, so that we're no longer confused and detached and dissatisfied or disconnected. We don't want to feel those feelings anymore. Do you? No, of course not. You want to feel peaceful and even proud of your life, because I found that when you're disconnected, you don't really feel that proud of your life. Would you agree? Because we were burnt out. We were burned out. And that's why this COVID crisis is kind of like a blessing in disguise, you know, because we got to sit down, we got to rest, we got to reevaluate our lives. And like I said a couple episodes ago, what did you lose? What did you gain? What do you need to maintain? Those are the things that we need to ask ourselves. Because that old version of success, that old American dream, it's kind of turned out to be sort of like an American nightmare. Am I right? For all of us. It doesn't have to be that way. That's why I want us to talk about the new version of success. So it's not a horror story. Because people are looking back at those lives that they created and said, this is not my life. I want out of this. A mess. The old version of success, it just doesn't fit us anymore. That whole like grind, work till your face falls off. Yeah, that hustle, no sleep. That's not it. This new version of success, peace, prosperity, love, harmony. Because we talk about work-life balance, but that doesn't exist. Harmony, that does exist, because balance is the same amount on one side as it is on the other. And that's just not the way life is. So let's be realistic and have work-life harmony. So I'm going to tell you what I've learned interviewing CEOs, what it looked like for them, if they made it there, if they didn't, where are they on their journey? Because this is a journey. You don't have to be there yet to be searching for meaning. Maybe you have money, but not enough meaning. Maybe you have meaning, but not enough money. And maybe you don't have enough of either, but that's okay. That's why you're here, because I'm going to tell you this new recipe for success, and you are going to love it, and you're going to want to implement it. So be prepared to take notes. I want to celebrate this episode, this 100th episode, by giving you all that I've learned over this 100 episodes. And I want to give you like a step by step, this new version of success. I might even talk a little bit about what it's like to have a podcast, because I guess some people are interested in that. I do get questions on that a lot. The most important thing is I want to give you value for this 100th episode. I feel like I do that anyway, but I really want to make this 100th episode special. So you ready? Let's start by talking about what success used to look like. Our parents and grandparents worked really hard. Probably a lot harder than they actually got paid for. Now, most of you listening, if I'm correct, you didn't have a trust fund. You didn't grow up with a silver spoon in your mouth. You had hard-working parents, and you watched them work and work and work. And that's all you know. And you're kind of programmed. However, what you also know is that they didn't get what they really wanted. You know, they were going after that American dream, but maybe it didn't turn out the way they thought it would, and they kind of ran themselves into the ground. But you knew better. You knew it wasn't what they wanted, but yet they still passed down that programming to you to work hard, go to school, get a good job, or maybe they said start a business, but they told you that if you're going to have your own business, that you're just going to have to work, that the business would take over your life, and you believed it. And so you created that kind of business. Yeah, you're not alone. And that's why this episode is so important, because it's time for us to let go of our programming. Let go. Let's let go of the old version of success and get ready for this new version of success. Because the old version has us hating our lives. Many of the people I work with, they come to my office, they're around 40 to 50 or 45 to 55, and they've worked their butts off. They put their heads down and they grind it out. And by the time they get to me, they're just tired. They don't know exactly what's going on. They just know they're stressed. And sometimes it shows up as physical ailments, and sometimes it just shows up as fatigue, or some people look at it as a midlife crisis. And it doesn't just have to be a man. A lot of times that's who I work with, but it could also be a woman. And we want to have somebody to blame it on. Now, I'm going to tell you who to blame it on. But typically when people come to my office, because I work a lot with men, they want to blame it on their wife. They want to blame it on their kids. They want to blame it on their job, or if they own a business, their employees. They want to blame it on somebody else, but they just don't want it to be them. And the truth is, it's not them. It's society. They were programmed. It's not even their parents or their grandparents, because their parents and grandparents were programmed. So letting go of the program is what's going to get us to this new version of success. Yeah. And the new version of success is inside of you. It's nobody else's idea. So nobody can tell you what success looks like. So when you get upset and you're like, look, I followed the rules. I did what you told me to do. I tried your idea of success. That's a great place to be in, because now it's time for you to make some adjustments, some changes. The first thing that I like to have there's two things that I like to start with. And the very, very first thing is what's going well. So let's just think about that. What's going well? I also talk about, what have you lost? Like, what did you sacrifice? Or another way to ask that question is prioritize. How did you prioritize your life? Did you put work before love? Did you put work before health? Did you put money first? So what did you lose while you were doing that? But because we asked the question, what's going well, there's also something you gained, right? What did you gain? What did you gain? Just a question you might want to ask. And now that you are ready to adjust, what will you maintain? What will you keep in your life that maybe it's working because it is going well? And what support do you need now that you want to make this big old change? Because that's something you'll have to articulate to your friends and your family and your loved ones and even your employees or your boss if you have one. Because that old version of success caused you to resent them and yourself. And if you want to shift it, you're going to have to ask some questions. Maybe you've asked yourself over the years of listening to this podcast what your idea of prosperity is. Maybe you haven't asked yourself that, but that's a good question to ask. Because that is the new version of success. It's nobody else's idea. You don't have to live anybody else's idea. It's all up to you and your idea of prosperity. So that means you're gonna need to know the dollar amount. What is the dollar amount that you need in order to live the life that you can love? Because society says every man for himself, go out and get as much as you can. It's kind of like a greed mentality. And buy boats and planes and houses and, spend all your money. And then if you don't have it, put it on credit. But it was really important for us to have stuff. And I don't know that that's all that important now. Stuff is good. Maybe you can charter a plane every once in a while or a boat every once in a while. But do you have to own it? Really, do you? You've got to know your numbers. For me, it's actually a really low number. I'd love to be a millionaire, multimillionaire, billionaire, even whatever the universe has for me, I receive it. But the number that I have to have, the number that's perfect for me is 250,000. That's really all. When I add up all the things I love to do on a regular basis, it really is only $250,000 that I need. Now, I would like to have millions of dollars in the bank, but as far as what I need to live off of, 250,000. That's all. That's so easy to get to. It's not hard at all. We've talked about the numbers before. If you can get to 1 million just by having 1,000 clients, think of how easy it would be to get to 250,000. And I know some of you, your dollar amount is much higher than mine. That is okay. Neither one of us is wrong. We're both right. Because it's right for us. It's right for you. It's right for me. So that's first. Know your number. Once you know your number, then it makes it a lot easier to know what to say no and what to say yes to. Because you can get to a point where you got that number, right? And then somebody asks you to do one more thing and you have to choose between your child's recital or this speaking engagement or taking this client. But if you know you already hit your number, that satisfaction is already there. The meaning now is what you have to go after. And it's probably going to be your child's recital. That's going to bring meaning to your life, not one more client. Now, I get it. For some of us, you're changing lives. Maybe you're a surgeon. Maybe you cure children's cancer. I don't know. And so for you, that is your significance. That is meaningful for you. And by all means, do it. But you do have to know when to say yes and when to say no. You have to have your standard. You have to have a standard. So know the amount of money that you would like to make. Know the health goal or well-being target that you want to hit. What love and connection do you want to have? What legacy do you want to leave? What adventure do you want to have in your life? Stir that all up in a pot, and that's your idea of prosperity. That's your new idea of success, which nobody can tell you is right or wrong. I know some people you probably heard me say, people have told me my lifestyle is a fantasy. Oh, Kanae, that lifestyle is a fantasy. Maybe it is, but that doesn't mean I can't have it. So I don't think it's a fantasy. I think it's a reality. It's just a new reality that people just aren't used to. It goes against the programming, but I found myself. So I don't care about the programming. And that's also why you have to allow your children to have their own version of success, because that's really when I got it. I got it when I was very young because my parents allowed me to not know what I wanted to be when I grew up, even though my sisters did. And my brother didn't either. He and I both didn't know, but we were okay with not knowing. We were okay with exploring. And my parents were okay with that too. When you need to control who your children are, when you think that you have to guide their lives, tell them they're going to be lawyers or doctors or whatever it is that you choose, or maybe they're going to run the family business, all you do is do yourself a disservice, because that's not what's going to happen long term. They're eventually going to buck the system. They're going to realize that they don't want to go forward with that programming and they want to find themselves. And you're going to wish you didn't, because you're going to wish it didn't happen to you. You're wishing that right now. So don't do that to your children. Trust me, it doesn't work anyway. Yeah, I know so many people who are doing what they feel like they need to do because their parents wanted it for them. They didn't want it for themselves. And not that they'll know right away, but allow them to trial and error. And you don't have to fund it if you don't want to. But allow them to discover their own idea of prosperity, because that is the search for meaning over money. You just have to know what you really want, because you're going to know the number. Right now, you know you need to know the number. You need to know your health goals. You need to know your love goals. And if you think you're going to control people, you're going to be sadly mistaken. That will not bring you success. It will come in between you and your idea of prosperity. So any number you want to get to is easy, whether it's 250 like me, a million, 10 million, 100 million, a billion. I want to do something right now. I want us to do this little exercise. Yeah. Because we're really going to talk about this new version of success. So yeah, take your time. Get ready. I hope you're not driving. But I want you to think about, what would it mean if you added $10 a month to your bank account? Now you got an extra $10. What does that do for your life? What could you do with that? Okay. You feel that feeling? You see what that feels like? What if it was 100? What if you had $100 more a month? Every month, $100 more. What would you do with that? What does that look like for you? Now, let's make it 1,000. Now you got an extra $1,000 a month in your bank account. What could you do with that? Could that add value to your life? We're going to take a big old jump and go to 10. Now you have 10,000 extra dollars. Still had all that you had before. And you have now 10,000 extra dollars in your account. Feel that feeling. What could you do with that? What would that change? How would that change your life? What would that mean to you? Okay. Now let's do it. Let's go to 100,000. You've got 100,000 extra dollars in your account. So if you were already making 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 a month, now you're making 150,000 a month. Feel that feeling. What does that feel like? What could you do with that money? How many lives could you change? How would your life change? Now let's go ahead and do that more. a million. Now you got $1 million a month. Not a year, $1 million a month. Feel that. What does that feel like? An extra $1 million a month. All right, go now. 100 million. Going up. What are you doing with that 100 million a month? 100 million a month. It's just coming easily and frequently. And you're not working your body off. You're not burning out. You're not working your face off. Just $100 million coming because it's yours. Let's do one more jump for me. Let's go to $1 billion. $1 billion a month. Yes. What could you do with an extra $1 billion a month? Can you even imagine it? What does it feel like? Who could you help? What could you do? What would you stop doing? How would your life change? Yeah. This new version of success is not just about money. It's about changing lives, not just your life, but others' lives. What do you feel? So it doesn't have to necessarily be hard work to get to that $1 billion, but maybe you work hard for a little while and then you can coast. You decide. And here in this episode 100, I just wanted to pour that out because I think I want to take this moment right here, this 100 episode, to mark like a change for us, a shift where we're letting go of our programming. This is what I want this 100 episodes to be. It's like a line in the sand. Because after this, we're all just going to be prosperous. We're all going to be searching for meaning over money. And we're still chronicling that journey because in the next couple months, you're going to see it unfold. You're going to hear so many stories from CEOs. Oh my gosh, it's going to blow you away. Because one, you're going to feel like I'm not alone. And two, you're going to feel like, oh my gosh, like what a story. Because I love for people to share stories. Do you? All right. Remember I said the idea of prosperity is like your money, your health, your love and adventure and the legacy you want to leave. Well, one of the things that I've learned interviewing these CEOs is that they also have some sort of support system, whether it's a network that they belong to, like, the CEOs I interview were EO, Entrepreneur Organization. And so maybe they belong to an organization, or maybe they belong to, or maybe they have a mentor. Yeah. It could be their church, but it has to be a group of like-minded people. One CEO I interviewed, her friends and family were her support. Now, a lot of times that's just not the truth. That's just not the case. But for her, it was. So you have to have a support system. And then you need a connection. That connection will add value to your life. When you connect and when you can really be yourself and be genuine and vulnerable, connection adds value to your life. The other thing that I heard a lot of people speak about was contribution and conscious capitalism. Like, yes, they want money, but they want meaning too. So now I want you to give some thought to a time that you were grateful. I mean, like, you just could not even believe it. This was you. That's how grateful you were. Just the feeling that you felt in your body. Maybe it was when your child was born. Maybe you received an award, honored by your school. Maybe a building was named after you. Whatever, something happened to you and you felt incredibly grateful. Now I want you to feel that feeling. Remember it. For me, my daughter asked me to marry her. She and her husband wanted me to be their minister. I don't know why, but for some reason I was so honored. And I was overwhelmed with the amount of joy that I had no idea I was going to feel. Now, if you heard me talk a couple of episodes ago, she's my adopted daughter. She came to me when she was a teenager. So we had been together, I think 10 years by this time, but I didn't even see it coming. And when she asked me, I was like, what? So I became a minister. That's like one of those little known facts that most people don't know about me. Yep, a few years ago, I became a minister so I could marry my daughter and her fiance. Go ahead, think of something that you are incredibly grateful for. Just let it well up inside of you. Feel that feeling. Feel that feeling of gratitude. That is the feeling that comes with the new version of success. I remember that I would sometimes go to businesses and people would say, like, we're honored that you want to do business with us, and just statements like that. And I would think, maybe that's not true. Is that true? But I didn't know what that felt like until I was able to do what I loved. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't even believe I get to do this work. This is so awesome. Thank you for choosing me as your therapist. Like every single time, whether it's one-on-one or group, I am so incredibly grateful that I get to be a therapist. Even this podcast, every single time I do a podcast episode, I am so incredibly grateful. You don't even know. Sometimes it's such hard work. And when I say hard work, I mean, it's like it's so many steps, but I take them anyway because it feels so good to produce this, to develop this. And over the years, it has evolved. I don't know how long you've been here, but in the beginning, we were talking a lot more to couples. And then I began to talk to business owners a little bit more. And then I realized the business owners that I were talking to were those high achieving business owners. And I also realized that high achiever like me was also a hero. So the hero that's taking care of everybody around him. And I say him because my practice and even my listeners and my followers on social media were a lot of men. So I catered my conversation and a lot of the episodes to men. But that's how the podcast has evolved over the years. And I like to end this 100th episode with a little bit of what I've learned over this past 3 years. I've learned that this new version of success looks like as I interview and chronicle the search for meaning over money. This new version of success, it means knowing what to say yes to, which also means knowing what to say no to, right? But say yes to all the things that are in line with your idea of prosperity. And once you get really clear on what those are, then you'll know what to say yes to rather than just saying yes to everything. Learn to say yes. Like Bill Gates said yes to whatever it was he needed to say yes to, even though he wasn't he didn't have what he said he had, but he said he could do the project because he knew he could get it. So like that, just say yes and figure it out along the way. Doesn't have to be perfect. Society tells us that everything has to be perfect. Have to have the perfect house, the perfect spouse, the perfect kids. And that's why we're always trying to control our children, because we think they are a reflection of our perfect life. Who's to say what perfect is? Because they have their own idea of prosperity, and so do you. But as long as you're going after this old version of success where you go to school, you get a job, you work to that job for forever, and then you retire, and then what? Right? That's that old version of success. For some people, it's owning a business and never seeing your family. Oh, that's just success. It's just the way it goes. No, it's not. So know what you want to say yes to. Say yes to a certain amount of your business, but say yes to a certain amount of your life too. And just get started. Like when it's time, like this whole thing, this shift, this change, like start on what's new. Start on what's new. What's next for you? Get started on that. You don't have to analyze it and make sure it's all perfect and polished. Just get started on it. Whatever it is that you want to do now in order to keep your business or change your business. And that's what this pandemic is actually a slight blessing in disguise, not to discount anybody who passed away or died from the disease. But for those who are still alive, who survived, we have an opportunity to thrive in this. Because we've been strivers for a long time, just striving and striving and striving. But it's time for us to thrive. And we can do it, you know why? Because we have had a chance to reset. So you can let go of all the things you no longer want in your life. And you can get started on new things. And you can stop doing the old things. What have you lost? What have you gained? And what would you like to maintain? So it's almost like the start, stop, and continue that I've told you about before. What would you like to start doing? What would you like to stop doing? And what will you continue doing? And whatever it is, just go ahead and do it so you can fail fast. Because going back to that perfection, we think we don't need to fail, but we do. And that's what I learned by interviewing these CEOs. You don't hear a lot about the failure stories, but they're there. One CEO told me a story about having to let go of his whole team, started back over, even though he had a successful business, but it wasn't the business he wanted. So he started it all over. He got back up. Even though he started all over, he got back up and he propelled himself forward. And now he has a $500 million a year business. And he got direction along the way. One great thing about him is that he hired really incredible people. Once he had to do that restructuring, he learned from that and he hired really incredible people. He got direction and he had that support system I talked about. Then he pivoted and pivoted and pivoted along the way. Don't get stuck in your old ways like Kodak or Polaroid. Like you got to shift and pivot with the world. That's why you have to have a digital product. You absolutely have to have a digital product. If you do not have a digital product in this time, now I've been talking about this for years. I've been telling my CEOs to put a digital product in place for years, specifically a membership. I'm a big fan of a membership. If you don't have a membership, you need to get one. You need your tribe. That goes back to that support. The great thing about having a membership is people that you can pour into, but they'll be there to pour into you. I have my own membership. Of course, you know, Presidential Experience is also a membership. We have our Master Me membership, which is our first level, but then you go on to the Master Class level where you get to meet with me once a week. And then we have our Mastermind Presidential Experience. That's our Mac Daddy Ultimate Experience where you get one-on-one with me. Either way, there's a membership. And the great thing about having that membership is that I pour into you, but I receive from you as well. But I'm also a member of another tribe. I'm a member of a tribe where almost like I have these silent partners around me who can redirect me or bring things to my attention, point out blind spots that I might not be able to see. Can't do this on your own. But the digital product is one way, the membership is one way to have that support team in place. So you have that digital product, you have that support team. The other thing that, let me say this. So the membership is one kind of digital product. There are other kinds of digital products out there. We can talk about any of them. You can ask the questions if you're in the Presidential Experience membership, private club. You can ask those questions and I'll tell you exactly how I did it or how other people I know. I don't so much sell digital courses anymore. I used to, but it's just not my thing. So you got to find your thing, right? That's not mine. Membership is mine. That's where I thrive. One-on-one is mine. That's where I thrive. So where do you thrive? That's the question you have to ask yourself and answer it. So you've got to pivot. You've got to pivot with this new time. and figure out how to add a digital product to your life. Now, if you want to join our team, you can. Just go to presidentiallifestyle.com. Become part of our tribe, our private club. Now, you may know right now that exactly which level you want to come in at, and you'll have all three options on the website at presidentiallifestyle.com. Or you may say, Kanae, I just want to listen to the podcast. I just want to find you on Insight Timer and listen to your meditations. I just want to follow you on social media, Instagram, Facebook. So be it. Do that too. It's okay. However you want to connect, I am incredibly grateful for you. Whether you listen here, Facebook, wherever I show up, if you show up there, I appreciate you. My members get to connect more with me. They come into my world, because my philosophy is you want to go into their world and you want to bring them into your world so you can pour more into them. Think of it like this. If you met somebody out or you took somebody out to dinner, that's one experience. But if you brought them to your home to entertain them or cook for them, that's another experience. So you will go out and see them in the world on social media, Instagram, wherever, but you should also invite them into your home, your membership. So that's why I like the membership model. It also creates residual income for people who wouldn't necessarily have that, like barbers and stylists and massage therapists. But if you have something to offer your clients, even when they're not there, not to mention this also makes them sticky. It means they're not likely to leave. If they have several products with you, if they have several ways to connect with you, why would they go to any other massage therapist? Why would they go to any other hypnotherapist for that matter? So they get me one-on-one. They get me in the group setting, and then they get me on the forum. They get my team. They get the other tribe members. They get all the experts I bring in. Why would they go anywhere else? And then I speak their language. You want to make sure you speak their language. So I know some of this I've said before. I'm just saying it all at once in episode 100 because I'm saying this is the line in the sand. We will no longer survive. We will thrive. Now I'm doing a masterclass on May 30th. So depending upon when you're listening to this, it might have already passed. Hopefully you listen to this as it aired and celebrate it with me. Even if you miss it later, just celebrate with me. But I'm doing a masterclass and it's free to my members. And the great thing is that there's a 10-day trial on the Master Me level. So if you start there, then you could jump in, take the masterclass for free and see if it's for you. That's why we do the 10-day trial, just so you can see if it's for you. Because you just, you never know. The whole thing, though, we're doing this to stay consistent. Consistency is the key. We have these levels because we want to show you that we're there for you at whatever level you're at. The reason why I'm at 100 episodes is because I just wanted to stay consistent. I started out with 2 episodes a month, and then I moved to 4 episodes a month. And then I said, you know what, maybe I should just do it once a week. So sometimes that meant 5 episodes a month. Whew. But my goal was to just stay consistent, even though the target market changed. Sometimes the message changed sometimes, but I was there. I showed up every single time and I listened to you. You said you want something different. I give you something different. I give you exactly what you want and need, because you tell me what you want and I'm going to turn that into what you also need. Like, you don't know that you need to lose your programming. You don't know that. But you do now because you started listening to me. But I didn't start out saying, lose your programming, lose your programming. I started out saying you're stressed. And then I told you why you were stressed. Now, have I ever told you about how I moved to Atlanta, like what my life was like then? In 2010, when I moved to Atlanta, I was burnt out. I had journeyed so far in my hero's journey. I had given up so much of myself. I was tired and my body was breaking down. And my heart was already broken from all the good deeds that I did and didn't receive love in return for them. Because that's what we do as heroes. We have a cape, we have our crown, we have our pedestal that they put us on. And then we think that that means that we're supposed to get love in return. Can I get a witness? How many heroes out there hear me? You hear me? Yeah. And so my heart was broken. My body was breaking down. And I had to do something different. And I chronicled my journey because I was going after money. And I got it. And then the market crashed. Yeah, there goes the money. And what did I have left? I mean, I had stuff left, but it wasn't what I really wanted. Like, my family loved me and I loved them the same way back, but it wasn't enough. And I had my adopted daughter. She brought so much meaning to my life, but there was still something missing. Have you been feeling that way? Yeah. So what's missing in your life right now? What would you like that's not there? This 100th episode marks a lot for me. I say that I'm proud of myself. I've said that jokingly. You have no idea. You have no idea. This is a girl who's 46 years old and has never been married. Commitment ain't my thing. Now, I'm working on that though, because I'm getting married like very soon, actually. And I say that and no, I'm not engaged. What I mean by that is I've changed my idea of prosperity to add marriage in there, because it didn't used to be part of my idea of prosperity. And I'll talk about this in the masterclass on the 30th, on May 30th. But yeah, my idea of prosperity, it did not include marriage, but it does now. And so I just see myself so differently, and you can see yourself so differently too. Like the girl I was, and I say girl, woman, lady, whatever, female, all those words, I'm all that. That person that I was in 2010, completely different than this person I am in 2020. Now, it's not going to take you 10 years to make that shift. I'm just telling you what the journey and the time frame is. But it could take you 10 years to get to this, because what I am right now was not what I was last year or 2 years ago or even 5 years ago. But all of the steps counted. In 2011, I was different. In 2012, I wrote the book, The Art of Starting Over. 2013, man, I started Prosperity Club. In 14, 15, 16, I left Morgan Stanley. 17, started this business. I made $25,000 the first business. I left, big bonuses and stuff, commissions, great big commissions. I left those on the table to start all over. But that was okay. $25,000 the first year. Yeah. Now some of you are saying, what? I didn't make anything my first year in business. So some of you are saying that's great. Others of you are saying, oh, poor you. That's okay, because it's not that way anymore. And we doubled that, and we doubled it, and we doubled it, and we just kept growing. And it really was it was an honor to do that for myself, to see myself grow like that, because I had poured into so many other people, which is the reason why the hero, I wasn't where I wanted to be, because I was using so much of my energy to pour into others. Before I put on my mask, I was assisting others. Out of order. So if you've been doing that, I have this 16-week boot camp. It's going to change lives. You can join me if you like. So go ahead and go to presidentiallifestyle.com and see if you and I can connect, if there's some guidance or direction or connection that I could give you. I look forward to seeing you soon, even sooner if you like. Totally up to you. I'm so excited, so proud of myself. If you join the club, can you tell me what is your 100th episode? Like, what is that thing that let you know, like, wow, look at me? What is that thing? I'd sure would like to know. And you can email me at podcast@presidentiallifestyle.com. So let's stay connected. I'll see you in the club. I'll see you here next week. Well, I'll see you tomorrow, because we're still doing new episodes. Now, there's a lot happening, and I know I said I was going to do an episode a day throughout the rest of this month, but I do not think I'm going to be able to do that, because my daughter is coming in town, and she requires a lot of energy and attention. Even though she's almost 30, she just loves to be around me, and I love to be around her, and we have so much fun. And maybe I'll bring her on. That might work. I might do that. That way I can get my work done and I can hang out with her. All right, I'll talk her into it. So I will see you guys sooner. In the meantime, my Prosperos, have a prosperous week. Do that for me. See you sooner. Oh, and remember, when you believe it, you'll soon see it.